I'm Kobe Kushner. I'm an analyst here at Red Cloud Securities. Thank you to WCPD Inc. for sponsoring this session. We're about to hear from Blue Thunder Mining. This is a Quebec-focused junior gold explorer. They've got a sizable land package in the Abitibi Greenstone Belt. It's probably one of the best places to be looking for gold, and JF and Chad are going to tell us why. So JF, Chad, you have about 15 minutes, which will follow with 5 minutes of Q&A. Viewers, ask your questions at any time. Take it away, guys.
Thank you very much, Kobe. Can you hear me okay? I guess,
Yep.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, because make sure the Wi-Fi is working. So my name is Chad Williams. In addition to being the founder of Red Cloud, I am also the founder of Blue Thunder. And the very short history is that we bought these claims, about 100,000 acres of claims just south of Chibougamau, Quebec, about 5 years ago. We went public a little over 2 years ago. Our go public transaction was ill-timed because we were about a week before the world shut down because of COVID. But regardless, we've been very, very active on our properties in the last couple of years. And we'll talk about the geology momentarily. You know, really, to me, there's lots of presentations. Red Cloud, you know, has put on a great show, if I do say so. And lots of companies that you'll see or you may be seeing in recorded format. But I'd like to think that Blue Thunder has a very compelling risk-reward relationship, if you will, or ratio. Our market cap is only about $4 million. We've got about $1 million of cash. And we have not made an economic discovery yet. However, you know, we keep vectoring in on areas of interest. And, you know, we've added value to our properties. And we think that we're close to unlocking something very, very substantial. So as I said, we've got a 4 million market cap. It's owned by Red Cloud, a big chunk of it. I own a big chunk of it as well. We did have at one point about 10 institutions. I'm not sure exactly how many are left, but you know, it's quite unusual for a company of our size. Let's go on, Jeff, if you will. Yeah, I'll stop talking at this point. I'll turn it over to JF. JF is our president. He's a very, very good geologist. He's the guy finding the gold. I can only talk about it and dream about it, but JF is the guy that actually, and his team, of course, they're the ones that are doing all the hard work. So over to you, JF.
Thanks, Chad, and thanks to Red Cloud. So really, in a nutshell, we've got one main project. We are absolutely focused on one thing, and this is the area that we're in. We are located about 30 kilometers south of Chapais, or 60 kilometers south of the Chibougamau area. And as you can see on that slide, we have excellent access to all of our property through year-round accessible logging roads. So access is excellent to the property, and we can actually live in Chapais, which makes it for very economical exploration. Really, the Chibougamau-Chapais area is kind of, you know, a renowned world-class camp for, better known for copper, 3 billion pounds of copper, or 3 billion pounds of copper and 4 million ounces of gold produced. The one exception to it is the Joman mine, with about 1.8 million ounce gold endowment and a produced grade of 8.5 gram per ton. And we'll see where that is located. More interestingly, in this area, so south of Chapais, there is a emergence of a new gold camp. So when we look at the Nelligan story, the Monster Lake, the Lac Surprise from Northern Superior, all of this seems to hint at something new, an emerging camp in what was better known as a, let's call it a copper gold environment. And we are right in the middle of it. So our property, one project, 5 main properties, Muus being the main one and Fancamp being the more advanced one. The one thing to notice on the geology plan is that you see these dark lines crossing the property. Those are the main faults, the main corridors. And if you want the plumbing for all the gold mineralization, All of those are lined with gold showing, as you can see, going from the Joman mine to the very east, to Monster Lake to the north, to Nelligan to the south. So again, there's three different corridors, if you want. The Fancamp corridor with the Chevrier deposit, the Philibert Joman trend that is right in the middle, and more interestingly to the south, there's the Guercheville deformation zone, which is host to the Nelligan deposit and the Lac Surprise. If you look at the geology now, the upper portion is all mafic and volcanic flows. And to the south, in blue, we have the sediment. Those sediments are very interesting. As I mentioned, host to the Nelligan and Lac Surprise. But more interestingly is they were kind of ignored by old timers and the historical exploration that went on. For one thing, it's 1 to 1.5 grams per ton, which didn't really interest much back then, but also being low sulfide bearer, they did not react very well to a lot of the geophysics technique that were used back then. Now, the one thing to remember, if you look at this slide, you can see that there's about 6.5 million ounces of gold on that slide. And 5 of those million ounces are actually held or shared between the Joman mine, producing mine, and the new Nelligan deposit. So in all, it's very, very compelling area in an emerging gold camp, if you want. Just real quickly, I'm not going to talk much about this, but a lot of the exploration in the 50s and 60s and all the way to the 90s was really aimed at finding some of the big porphyries. We know that because SOX, for example, and other companies went through, they had 4 or 5 grams per ton hit in some of the drilling hole, and they never followed up. Why? Because it was not the geological setting that these guys wanted to. The other thing that we need to understand is we have been active in the field for 2 years and only 2 years. So this will be our 3rd summer out there, and we think we've done a lot of work in that time frame. One of the things that we find extremely exciting of the work we did in 2021 is a massive till survey. We took 184 tills on our Muus properties, and what we saw is it highlighted 5 very interesting areas. We know it works because one of the areas it highlighted we already knew of, the Weld area. We know there's gold there, and those till highlighted that area perfectly. So we're extremely excited about some of the work we've done. Overall, in the last 2 years, we drilled about 32 holes in all for various reasons and in various locations. But the main point is that we needed to concentrate on characterizing the entire land package. If you think about 51,000 hectares or 510 square kilometers, that is a lot of ground. So we needed a way to make sure that we focused on the most prospective area very early on in our history. And we believe that 2021 gave us a lot of tools between the tills, the soils, a few drill holes, and some prospecting. We are now geared with a lot of information. Another thing that we did in 2021 is we had Myra of Montreal do a comprehensive and integrated 3D model for all of our properties. And that allows us to really look at what is going on from a macro scale. But that is what we did. What do we plan on doing going forward? As I say, the till highlighted 5 areas of importance, 5 strategic locations, and those are obviously the one that we will be concentrating on. Interestingly enough, there is work done in 2012 by the Consortium geologist by the name of Faure, who came up with an alteration or hydrothermal alteration index. Funnily enough, a lot of the areas that we've identified through our own means are also heavily highlighted by this gentleman's work. The one that stand out the most is Monster Lake from I Am Gold. And the second area that highlights so well on this general area is right on our ground, which we call the Lac Bernard area. So in going forward in 2022, we have already embarked on a winter geophysics program where we'll do some IP and then some max-min in other areas where we know that sulfide is higher. And we will follow up on those results early in the summer with a little bit of ground work. And the aim of all of that is to have drill-ready target by the middle or the end of this summer. We already have some targets ready, but we want to make sure that within those broad areas, we target the very best. And this is really what this is all geared towards, making sure that we have success early on and we concentrate on the very best area. So huge potential on our ground. You see the Nelligan, Lac Surprise deposits to the very south, and that trend continues right on our ground. We happen to have 14 kilometers of the exact same setting that Nelligan and Lac Surprise have, which is the main deformation zone and the contact between the volcanic to the north and the sediment to the south. Very excited about that. I've already talked a little bit about 2012. So another thing that I think we need to talk about is the fact that if you look at us versus some of our neighbors and market cap, you see that at 4 million market cap, we are very much lower than our neighbors. But the main point being, they have been in the area and exploring for a long time. We're talking about 10 to 15 years. We have just started. We are much earlier on in the exploration, and we think that this is why we've got such a compelling story at a great price, if you will. So on that note, I think that this is what we wanted to show. I'm not sure if there's questions that need to be answered.
Yeah. So we have a question here. They're wondering if the company has a CEO. Jeff, if I'm not mistaken, your title is president. Can you guys touch on that?
Well, Chad, why don't you take over on that one?
Yeah. At the end of the day, we don't have, excuse me, we don't have a CEO, but JF is the guy running the show. He's the president, and he runs the company. And just before we tackle another question, I will say, just to recap real quickly, as Jeff illustrated, and as I mentioned at the beginning, we've got a very low market cap, and the risk, as they say, is to the upside. So on a risk-reward basis, as I said at the beginning, if we were to make a discovery or release at least some let's say interesting results, or continue to release interesting results, in my personal opinion, this stock has lots of upward potential. And we have a very significant land position, lots of very, very promising geology, major structures that go for tens, if not hundreds of kilometers. These are major regional structures. That, of course, explain why there's a lot of gold in the area, and copper as well, and other minerals. But the point being is we've got a very good geologic endowment. The Quebec government is very favorable to mining and exploration. Chibougamau is a mining town, if you will. And what that means is our exploration costs are very low relative to just about anywhere else in the world, and we can access each of our claims by road or ATV. We don't have to go to high elevation or it's very simple, low cost exploration, which again, on a risk reward basis is attractive, at least in my opinion. All right, let's tackle another question.
Well, I think you answered one of the questions there, Chad. Why should we be buying Blue Thunder? So I think you really wrapped it up well there. The 5 strategic locations, how many are on the Muus property? Are there any historical holes in the Lac Bernard target?
Yeah, I can definitely take that. So there is a few historical holes. However, they were in the volcanic section and not so much in the sediment or close to the contact. So we think that the target has actually not been tested to the extent that we want it to be. But interestingly enough, one of the historical hole had a 4.5 gram assay that, as I mentioned, was never followed up on. So the potential is there, and on the whole trend, there's very little historic drilling that targeted the right geology. When you look at the amount of drill hole altogether, on the property, it's high, but it's not in the 5 areas that we are looking at, or very few of them are. And to answer part of your question, the 5 areas that we are targeting are all on the Muus property, which is going to be the central focus for 2022.
Gotcha. So how many holes did you guys drill at Fan Camp?
So in Fan Camp in 2020, they had 14 holes, and those holes were really geared towards confirming the historical drilling and mineralization, which we have. What we did in 2021 is take a step back and try and understand where that mineralization came from. So we only drilled 5 holes. 2 of them were right into the intrusive to try and characterize it, and 3 were to try and understand the control of the mineralization of known mineralization. So in all, we had 14 drill holes in 2020 and 5 in 2021 in the Fan Camp area.
Okay, and circling back to the management question here, just to be clear, you are the full-time president here. This is your full-time job, right?
This is my full-time job and only job. I am not splitting my time between a whole bunch of juniors. This is what I'm doing. And maybe to elaborate a little bit on it, with the size of the company and the work that we're doing, we felt that having a president and a CEO or having both is one person is definitely enough. We have a very low burn rate and we're happy with the way we're functioning. So, the title is the title, whether it's CEO and president or just one of them is just fine with us. The point is, we have the right team and the right size team for the work we're doing. And with a very good board and very supportive board, we're quite happy. And as you note, we also have a very small board. So we believe in being lean and efficient.
Yep, means more money goes into the ground.
You got it.
So, talking more about real estate, you guys are in prime real estate. We know the area is well heated, lots of new discoveries happening all around you. So tell us what your neighbors are up to.
So interestingly enough, we know that IAMGOLD and Nelligan have been very busy in the last year on the ground. However, we haven't heard much news from them. We definitely understand that La Côte is keeping them very busy, but we know that they've been active, just not much on the news front. And as far as Northern Superior, well, they just announced a new drill campaign. They've been at it for probably 4 years now, and at least majorly for 4 years, and they are quite successful and they keep on plugging away. So again, it's a new target, a new mineralization style. There's a lot for all of us to learn, but excellent potential.
Yeah, no, it's always good to have neighbors that are advancing their own projects right next door. If any of them makes an incredible discovery, you guys benefit too. Vice versa.
Actually, and this is not like the old days where people are secretive about what we do. We think that we're much more into the sharing of data and ideas as to what it all means. We've got good relationship, and we definitely intend to keep it that way.
Okay.
But sorry, Kobe, to interrupt, but I mean, real quick here. I mean, it's been amazing to me that more investors haven't really picked up on what's going on in our area, our neck of the woods. Nelligan, major discovery; Monster Lake, major discovery; Northern Superior, they seem to be onto something. To me, it's such a great place to look. And the market just, I don't know, they just don't seem to get it. I think it's possibly because, to JF's point, IAMGOLD is talking and focused more on Côte Lake, and perhaps not talking enough or a lot about Nelligan. But I don't know. It's just, to me, it smells so good. The whole area smells so good.
And yeah, as you stated, with such a low market cap, you want to benefit from any exploration success in this area, maybe Blue Thunder is the right stock to pick. I don't know what you guys think.
We certainly think so.
All right, so with that, we'll leave it there. But thank you to JF, thank you to Chad. Next up, we have Silver Tiger and Canadian Palladium.
Thank you, Kobe. Thank you, Red Cloud.